Hi guys, and welcome to Marketing in the Madness, where every week I interview people around the innovative, different things that are happening in the world of marketing that you need to know. My name is Katie Street, so if you've not been here before, hello. I hope you're going to enjoy today's episode because I have just recorded something really special with a slightly different guest to normal. He's actually not in marketing. However, he has marketed himself very well. Chris Croft is an international, or definitely, well, he is international, an international trainer. He actually has spent most of his career in corporate, delivering project management, but now he trains people across the globe on how to deliver not just project management, but also things like happiness. And he has gathered around 250,000 followers on LinkedIn. He has a following of 25,000 on YouTube. All because of an opportunity that he originally said no to. So today's episode is about saying yes, it's about being authentic, and it's about how you can turn a no into a yes. So, hi Chris, and welcome to Marketing in the Madness.
Hi, thanks for having me, Katie.
I'm excited about this because I don't know how I came across you. I think it was on LinkedIn because you've got quite the LinkedIn following and you do a lot of public speaking. So tell me, at the same time as telling our lovely listeners, a bit about the Chris backstory. And also, how many followers have you got on LinkedIn, just before we go further?
I'm up to 220,000.
Wow.
It's a quarter of a million. Yeah, imagine if they all turned up at once.
And it is amazing to think that. I always think if an average post, if you can influence 5 people, that's amazing, right?
Yes.
Because if you walked into a coffee shop and got 5 people to listen to you and take action, that would be amazing.
Well, 2 things. Firstly, I was looking at the Oasis gigs, which I didn't manage to get a ticket for, and Wembley, and that was 100,000. So you could have like more than twice the size of Wembley.
Double
if they
Wembley.
All turn, which is, I mean, they're connections, but do they actually really like me or care about me? Who knows? But it's still a lot of people.
It really is.
So, yeah, there's that. But the other thing is, if only, you're right, if you put out a post and maybe 20,000 people read it, if just 1 in 1,000 does something, that's 20 people you've really affected.
Yeah.
So, because I think most people either don't see your posts or they flick through them, and it tells you the number of impressions. It says 20,000 impressions, but does that mean that 20,000 people have really read it? I'm never sure.
Yes.
Whether it's just they flicked past on the screen, or whether they've stopped briefly. I don't know how they define that.
Yes. I mean, I don't think anyone does apart from LinkedIn, but I can ask them. We're quite friendly with LinkedIn here.
Yeah.
So we will.
And it does lead to work occasionally.
Yeah. Well, tell me, so let's start with Chris, what you do and the work that you do and how you help people, because I think that's a good starting point.
How I help people. Well, I think there's two really different things that I do. There's what I used to do, and I still do it a bit, which is driving around the country running training courses. And now I do those mostly over Zoom, actually, because much as I like, say, Manchester, it's too far to drive from here in Poole, and it's just 6 hours on the motorway each way and things. So I still do Zoom training quite a lot, usually an hour at a time. So something like, say, negotiating would be 4 hours, and we would just do an hour a week for 4 weeks. Doesn't interrupt your work, and after 4 weeks, you know all about negotiating. So I do that, and I cover things like negotiating and project management and time management and difficult people and influencing and things like that. But recently, I've been doing more of the second thing, which is making video courses. So I just spend a day filming everything that I know about a subject, and then that's work you just do once, and then you put it out there and people watch it hopefully forever, and you get paid a little tiny bit each time somebody watches, but it adds up to quite a lot. So I've been making courses and putting them on LinkedIn Learning and Udemy, because from the marketing point of view, if I put them on my own website, hardly anybody will see them, and it's really hard work to advertise them and sell them and push them and have funnels and all the stuff we could talk about, a free thing, and you have a ladder, don't you? And then they buy a small thing, and then they buy a course, and that's just really hard work. Whereas if you put it on Udemy, millions of people go there every day looking for stuff, and they stumble across mine. And so I don't have to do any marketing at all. I just stick it on Udemy. And Udemy keep 3/4 of the money, but I'm fine with that because the quarter I get is worth it. And it's the same with LinkedIn Learning. If you can get onto there, LinkedIn Learning is much more difficult to get onto than Udemy, because LinkedIn Learning is sort of invitation only. In a minute, I'll tell you what happened when they invited me.
Yeah,
actually.
I want to know that.
Whereas Udemy, you could just stick anything you like on there.
Yeah.
So you've got more freedom with Udemy because you can make what you want to make. And so at the moment, I'm making some courses for Udemy that I think are really good. And hopefully they'll sell. They may not. I haven't done very much marketing in terms of working out the market. I'm just making what I think is good, which has kind of always been my philosophy, really, rather than trying to do things that other people want that I'm not really sure I can do. I try to do the thing that I think I can do best. And the world is so big, and with the internet, the few people who like it will find it. So I'm putting stuff on Udemy. But with LinkedIn, they ask you. And they first contacted me because they found my project management wrap. And
that sounds cool. I need to know about this.
Well, yeah. Well, a friend of mine is a rapper. I'm not cool enough to be a rapper, but a friend of mine is a rapper. He's got a band called Voodoo Trash. Don't Google them at work. Some of their lyrics are quite rude.
That's right. We're fine here.
I think Voodoo Trash are great. And he was making raps, just personal raps for people for their birthday or something, for a surprise, for fun. And you'd give him the names of all your friends and stuff, and he would make a rap for sort of 50 quid just to earn a living, because it's really hard to earn a living from music. And I said, could you make a project management rap? And he said, well, yeah, if you give me the material. So in the end, I wrote the words and then he did all the music. And I said, make it as grungy and mean sounding as you can. And we had a debate about who should do the vocal. And I had a go at the vocal, and he sort of said no. He said, I think I should do the vocal, Chris. So he did the vocal. Although some people complained about that and said, we were disappointed. So I have done a version with me doing the vocal as well, actually, which is on YouTube. But the proper one was done by him. And I wrote the words, played the saxophone on it badly, and made the video and stuck it on YouTube just for a laugh, really.
Yeah.
So the chorus is make a plan before you start. Always have a Gantt chart, because I'm obsessed with Gantt charts.
Love that.
And then it goes break it down and things, because that's what you do with projects. You break it down into its individual parts. See, so it's sort of rap. And I just did it as a laugh, and it got quite a lot of views. It got about 50,000 views, because it's the only project management rap on YouTube. I think it still is.
Wow.
And I was about to take it down because it occurred to me I might be losing work because of it, because people might think, well, let's Google Chris. We're thinking of getting him to do a training course. Let's Google him. And they might find the rap and think, oh, that's a bit weird. And I kind of thought it's a bit risky. And I was going to take it down. And almost that same week, I had an email from a company called lynda.com, who, I don't know if you've heard of them, but they used to be the biggest place for online learning, for video learning courses.
Okay.
But I'd never heard of them either.
No.
Very big in America, like millions and millions of people downloading courses, but not really in the UK. And they were bought by LinkedIn and became LinkedIn Learning, who are now the biggest. But it was named after the lady who set it up, who was called Lynda. So I got this message from lynda.com saying, we saw your project management rap, and then we saw some of your more sensible project management videos, and we think you might be suitable to make a course for us. Would you be interested in coming to Los Angeles to be filmed? And like a total idiot, I said no.
What?
Because I just thought, well, I've never heard of them. Is it a con? Well, I don't know. And do I want to be filmed? No, I don't want to be filmed. Nobody likes being filmed. And I'd never been filmed. But, 15 years ago. And I just said, oh, no, I don't think I fancy that. And they mailed back saying, do you know who we are? Because the thing was,
do you know who you're talking to?
If you look at their website, or back then, you had to pay to get access to everything. So they just had a front page.
Yeah.
And it was a bit crap.
Yeah.
And I just looked at it and thought, well, I don't know who's this. Yeah. I should have known that a name, lynda.com. That's a hell of a URL to have, isn't it? I mean, I should have known from that they were quite epic.
Yeah.
But so they said, you know who we are? And I said, well, so would I get paid if I did this? And they mailed back saying, well, of course you would.
Yeah.
And so I mailed back going, well, how much? And they said, well, we'll give you $10,000 up front as an advance, but then you'll get royalties.
For when it goes live, yeah.
But also, when you come to be filmed, we'll pay for everything. So you'll get a hire car, a hotel, and $70 a day food allowance. And that was what got me. I just thought, $70 a day for free food?
Amazing.
What? So I'm in.
Yeah, I love that.
So within a week, I was on the plane to LA, thinking I can talk about project management. And then when I got there was this huge, great studio with 2 cameras, like 4K, great big things, lenses. There was a producer, a director, there was a woman putting makeup on me and somebody doing the teleprompter. And it was terrifying. And lights everywhere, really hot lights.
And, like this.
Yeah.
But not quite the same level of production,
it was
maybe.
10 times. Yeah. It was just huge. And they had like 5 live action studios and they were going cut and all this. And it was completely terrifying. I'd never been filmed before. And I thought if you could talk to a live audience, you can talk to a camera. Mm-hmm. But actually, it's totally different because the camera doesn't laugh or smile or nod and all the nice things you're doing.
Yeah.
It just goes.
Yeah. It's nothing.
And it's just dead. And they were really good, though, because they stuck little smiley faces all around the camera. So I would feel like I had an audience. And they gave me a pen to hold because I didn't know what to do with my hands. And it took a whole week to film this course, which now I would do in 3 hours or whatever.
Of course.
And I couldn't believe how hard it was. But what I've realised is that being filmed is just another thing you have to learn. It just takes a bit of practice.
Yeah.
And you tend to think, why can't I do this? But the answer is because you've got to learn it. And it's just a skill like anything else. And then I've been making courses here and sending them in. And so now I've got, I think it's 47 courses on LinkedIn Learning, which is, I think it's more than anyone else in the world.
Wow, Chris.
But it was just when I saw the money that was coming in, I just thought, I want to do more of this.
Yeah.
And one of the things that really baffles me is you quite often meet people who've got one course on LinkedIn Learning or Udemy, and you say, are you going to make another one? They go, no, I've made one. I'm happy with that. And you think, why would you be happy? If that's bringing in, like £1,000 a month or whatever it might be, why would you not make more? I found a bit of gold, but I'm not going to dig for any more.
Bye now.
And I just think, I don't know whether it counts as marketing, but if you find something that works, turn the handle.
Yeah.
Find ways to turn it 10 times as quickly.
Yeah.
So I've been doing that, going there, then I've been filming them here, then I've been filming other people and splitting the money. So I said to LinkedIn, if I found good people and filmed them, would you be interested? And they went, yeah.
Smart.
So I've just been mining the hell out of that gold mine. But always trying to preserve the quality, because if you ever start to drop the quality, then obviously you could kill it off. Yeah. And you never want to do that. Never want to get greedy and start reducing the quality. So the courses I've made, although I've made a lot, I am really proud of all of them. I haven't made one I've thought, well, actually there is one I'm not very proud of, which was they asked me to do one on meeting agendas. And I thought, you can't do a whole course on agendas for meetings, can you? And I went, well, are you sure? And they went, yep, we want a course on that. I went, all right. And so I sort of thought of everything I could possibly think of to do with what you'd put in the meeting agendas. And, when do you send it out? And how do you decide who to send it to? And things. But, I felt that course was it was a bit padded out. But most of the courses are ones I've wanted to make and I've persuaded them to let me make.
Great.
Even a course on happiness. Which they didn't want to make.
Oh, I like that one.
Yeah, and I was like, but you're from California. Surely you'd want, And
they love it.
They were going, well, it sounds a bit fluffy. I couldn't believe Californians were saying that.
Wow.
And I said, no, it won't be fluffy. It'll be practical things you can actually do. And I showed them, I wrote out a table of contents and they went, oh, yeah, that looks good. So, and that's had 500,000 views. It's done really well.
Wow.
So, I hope that's, made a difference to the world a little bit. I'm proud of that course.
I was going to say 2 questions about your courses. Which is the most successful or has been the most viewed? Question number 1.
Yes.
And question number 2, which was your favourite to deliver?
The most viewed is actually Difficult People.
Oh,
bizarrely, yeah. And that's had 950,000 views. It's so nearly to 1 million.
Yeah, you're close. I'll get the team on it, don't worry.
Well, you can't because they've decided to sunset that course, as they call it in California. They've discontinued it because they're getting trained psychologists to do courses on that kind of thing now.
Okay.
And I'm not a trained psychologist. I'm just a manager who's been doing it for years and has worked out what works. And apparently that's not good enough. So I'm quite bitter about that because I wanted to get to 1 million.
Yeah.
So that has been my most successful course. But my second most successful, which will overtake it, I think, is Project Management Simplified.
Ooh.
So I've made like a 1-hour course that tells you all about how to plan projects and run projects. And I am really proud of that because it's one of those subjects where the people who teach it are either incredibly clever or quite boring or both. I don't know. And so most project management courses are really hard work. And I've just done a normal person's guide to project management, really.
Yeah, great.
And you watch that and you think, well, that's good. I could do that. And that would really work. I love it. So it's very motivational. And so Project Management Simplified has done really, really well.
Nice.
But the most fun to film, I think probably was my happiness course. But typical of any company, because it did well, they went, can you do happiness part 2? And I was like, no, because I've put everything into that course.
Yeah.
And
there's no more happiness.
No, you can't have any more happiness.
Yeah.
And some people hold a bit back for their next one. But I always think you should do the absolute best you can on anything, always. So I just made the absolute best course I could on happiness. I wasn't thinking about part 2. And I've had that actually with the face-to-face training as well. I do, let's say, a day of time management. And people say, we really liked it. Can we do part 2? And the answer is, well, not really, because I've put everything into that.
Yeah.
I mean, I could have done a 2-day one, and gone into more detail. But if you've done a 1-day, it's very hard to come back and say, let's go into more detail on those things. I mean, you sort of can, but it wouldn't be as good. It wouldn't be the right way to do it.
No, I'm with you on that as well.
So, but what I did do, I said I could do a success habits course. So because you've got happiness and you've got success, which we could talk about the difference because one leads to the other, sort of, maybe, or does it? So I did success habits. And I'm quite proud of that one as well. So that's a sort of like a best of like 50 things that people should do in order to be successful. Oh God, you're going to ask me what's
of course I am.
I'm trying to remember what's
Chris,
in that
you can't
course.
tell me these things without expecting me to ask.
Yeah.
I've got so many questions for you, by the way. So first up, let's talk about some of the things that you can remember, the most important things that are, that go towards those success habits that I'm super interested in.
Yes, because we could talk about how I've marketed those things. Although I've already said that for the video courses, I don't really do any marketing.
No.
Because they do that. LinkedIn do that.
But I think
that's great.
That's also a great lesson for the listeners in marketing.
Yes.
Is go where your people are. Like, you don't have to reinvent the wheel every time.
Yes, if there's a platform you can use and go through.
100%.
Yeah.
Like, for me, it makes sense for me to show up on LinkedIn because that's where my audience live, breathe, consume the kind of content that I put out into the world. They're already there.
Yeah.
So why would I go and create something that's
Totally.
separate to that? And that's the case across, every single social
And
platform.
I much prefer LinkedIn to the other platforms like Instagram and stuff. But it depends. I mean, if you're making, fluffy
who your
cakes,
audience
you want to
are.
have pictures on Instagram, don't you?
Yeah.
But I think business to business, I think it's got to be LinkedIn.
B2B, LinkedIn is huge. The other
Yeah.
platform that we're finding really interesting, which could be interesting for you as well, I guess, is YouTube. And actually, when we talk to C-suite
I thought you were going
leaders...
to say TikTok for a minute.
No,
But,
not TikTok. Not TikTok yet, but who
some
knows?
people
I
say
was
they
gonna
can do
say,
well on TikTok.
Who knows? I've got some good friends who are in the world of B2B who are TikTok
You can get a lot of
famous.
views, but are they mover and shaker type viewers? Probably
Potentially
not.
But
Whereas
they
YouTube,
will be in a few years' time because the younger
Yeah.
audience that are on there are going to be, or they are in the workplace now.
Yes.
And they will be. So it's going to change. It's consistently changing. But I do think the lesson that the listeners can get from what you've done is go where your audience already are. You don't need to reinvent the wheel.
Yes.
You don't need, it's almost like owned platforms like websites are becoming less important.
Yeah.
And actually, for me, my company's LinkedIn page is more important than my own website.
yes, if somebody says they do, let's say, training courses,
Yeah.
the first thing I do is go to YouTube and have a look at them.
There you
Because
go.
because if you go to their own website, there's going to be some stuff that they've made up, but YouTube I think tells me a lot more.
Yeah.
And if they've only got 3 videos and they've got like 20 views, and those views were 3 years ago, I'm sort of thinking, well, you're not doing much, are you? Whereas if they've got 100 on there and they've got a few thousand followers or whatever, I'm thinking, well, this is a proper person.
Yes, here we go.
So I think YouTube is a real test. But also, as we know, it's owned by Google. So when people search, so if you search, for example, for I love Gantt charts on Google, why would you? But if you did,
someone might do.
I come out number 1 in the world. And that's because I've got a video on YouTube called Why I Love Gantt Charts.
Yeah.
And that gets me straight onto the top of Google. And so if you want to be top for, how to avoid marketing disasters or something like that, you just want to make a video called that.
Yeah.
Because then they'll be on Google.
Yeah, YouTube and Google are together.
So so what I've done on YouTube is I've queued up 1 or 2 videos per week for the next year.
Nice.
And I just sit there for half a day just bunging them all, because you can just put dates of when you want to go live, can't you?
Yeah.
And then they just slowly go out. So
nice.
I've built up about 20,000 followers on YouTube, which is not that many. I mean, it's quite good, I think.
Yeah, really good. Really, really good. Well, you're putting out helpful, insightful content that's helping people.
And that's totally organically grown. I haven't cheated or bought it or advertised. No.
Yeah.
And people keep offering for a small amount, we can get you loads of, and I don't know. I mean, partly I have a fear of being sort of struck off the channel for doing it.
They do want you to do it. They want you to spend.
Well, actually, I suppose that's the point.
They do. If it's YouTube, we're fairly new to YouTube with the podcast, and we're on a bit of a learning curve. But actually, we probably will start to put some paid behind it, because, one of the team who's helped someone else with their podcast, we can really up our game if we do it. But there's so much you need to do organically.
Yes.
First, the SEO's got to be good. You've got to have, the right kind of clickbaity titles. You've got to have the right images. So there's so much that you need to do before you even start to think about putting have you done have you got your house in order?
Yes.
Before you, because otherwise
your thumbnails are really good.
Yes. But we know we can do better, and we are. We've had a meeting about that this morning. Tom in the background.
Yes.
So we know and the channel's always changing. That's something else. But I do also echo what you were saying earlier. I think the channels are always changing. You've got to stay ahead in terms of what are the algorithms doing, how are they changing, how is content being pushed out? Because one minute they're doing,
long form.
A YouTube short is 1 minute, then it's 3 minutes, then long form's more important than short form, then short form's more important than long form. So the channels are always changing. You've got to keep your finger on the pulse. But I do also think something that you said earlier really resonated is also show up with what feels comfortable and what you're good at. Some people are really good at long form content and that conversation. Don't try and change.
Yeah, I've been doing some short ones as well with it that way around rather than that way around. Portrait. So because apparently that's the thing.
Landscape. Yeah.
And I don't know. It's just an experiment, really.
Yeah.
It's not really very good marketing advice, probably, but just throw as much as you can at the wall. Something will stick. So my project management video stuck, and that led to literally millions of pounds over the years, because that led to the whole of LinkedIn Learning, Linda, which led to LinkedIn Learning, which has literally millions have come from that. And the guy wanted 50 quid. I paid him 100 because I loved the video so much. And it led to all. So you never know where things will lead.
Yeah. Just say yes.
Yeah. So I think try everything. And try making some shorts, and you've definitely got to put stuff on YouTube, because you just never know which videos will do well and which ones won't. I'm lucky because I've got loads of video anyway. So because I'm making video courses, I can just take. So as a typical course might have, say, 30 videos. Why not stick 5 of them on YouTube as samples?
Yeah.
And so, that's what I always do. It's kind of weird because when I first put one of my LinkedIn Learning videos on YouTube saying, look at this, if you like it, get the whole course, their piracy people detected it, and I got this cease and desist letter. And I had to say to them, no, it's me, it's my video, I made it. And it was obviously, almost sort of robotic. It wasn't a bot, it was a person.
Yeah.
And they went, oh, right, oh, yeah. Because nobody had ever done that before. All the people who were making LinkedIn Learning material had never put one on YouTube to say, have a look at this, just to bring in more people.
Yeah.
And you'd think they would have done that, wouldn't you?
You would, yeah.
But now they've said that's okay. Obviously, why would you not?
Yeah.
So I do put samples from my LinkedIn and my Udemy courses on YouTube. So, but I also make completely unique ones to put on there as well, just because otherwise, why would you go to my YouTube channel? So I think, but I'm a big believer in repurposing videos, like put them on your website, put them on LinkedIn as posts. If you haven't made a LinkedIn Learning course, this still applies to everyone, doesn't it?
Any kind
put them
of
on
content.
LinkedIn as posts. I found on LinkedIn though that my most viewed posts seem to be pictures, either an unusual photo of like me doing something or an infographic. I found that they do much better than just words. Clearly, you have to have a picture, but they also do better than videos. And you might know the answer, but I've been experimenting with whether you should upload the video to YouTube and then put a link on LinkedIn, or whether you should upload it natively to LinkedIn. Because if you put it on YouTube and put a link, the obviously advantage is that you get YouTube views as well as LinkedIn views.
Yes.
If you just put it on LinkedIn, you don't get the YouTube views. But it does mean that it plays automatically in your feed. So when people scroll through, they see you actually talking. Whereas if it's just a YouTube link, then they just see a picture.
Yes.
And it does catch people's attention if you filmed it somewhere a bit unusual. So what I do when I'm on holiday now, my wife's not very happy about this, but she likes the money. So what can you do?
Yeah, exactly.
But I always film 2 or 3 videos just in front of somewhere unusual, like the harbour or a boat or a rock face or anything.
Yeah.
Just a bit unusual.
Yeah.
So that when people are scrolling through, they go, "Oh, well, where's he? That looks like Portugal or whatever."
And that is a real smart thing to do with video content, because people are interested in what's going on in the background or sometimes on the screen. Like
and it just catches their eye, doesn't it?
Holding a mug or like it's trying to, and you'll see it, TikTok will do some quite crazy things. Like, I don't know, you'll have a split screen with someone playing with slime or some kind of kinesthetic type thing happening in the background or on a split screen
I'll try that.
to capture their attentions. But the same rules apply. If you're somewhere interesting or somewhere that someone might resonate with, they'll watch it because they'll be like, "Oh, I think I've been there. I did that the other day on someone's post. I was like, oh, I know where they are.
Where am I now?
Yeah, I've been there.
Yeah.
I've stayed in that hotel in Dubai or whatever it might be.
Yes,
So,
I've done some with my dog as well, just there, head under my arm while I've been talking or whatever.
People love that. And I think it's being smart. Like, it sounds like you're a social, influencer, really, to a certain extent.
I do it for
Chris.
the fun of it, though, rather than it being a thought-out strategy. Because
Trying stuff.
Yeah. And I remember ages ago, I turned up to do a talk. It was for some local networking business thing in Bournemouth, actually.
Yeah.
And they'd said, send in your PowerPoint before you do it. And I don't even like using PowerPoint, but it was a big audience, you got to. And when I got there, they said, we've adapted your PowerPoint. Hope it's okay. We've put it into our font and our colours. And their font, would you believe, was Arial.
Oh, God.
So it just looked like it was from the 1970s, sort of. At least it wasn't Comic Sans.
Yeah. Oh, my God.
But it was, they'd put it into Arial and they'd made it something like yellow on a blue background or something. And I just thought it was horrible. And I said, why have you done that? And they said, well, we like everything to be consistent. And I really hate the word consistent. Now, I know that, your thumbnails, for example, are quite consistent. They're all yellow and black. Mm-hmm. And so you've got, you need to have something so that people know it's all part of a series. But I don't like the word consistent, because to me it means boring. And they've got me in to be a speaker because they want something a bit different, a bit unusual, a bit special maybe. So why have they sort of watered the look of my stuff down to be like their stuff? The whole point is I'm from outside, I'm different. And I just thought, and I'd spent a bit of time thinking about the colours I wanted and the font I wanted and the layout and everything. So all of their font was the same size, whereas I like to sometimes have something that's bigger. If there's not so much on the screen, I make it bigger or whatever. But they'd made it all the same. Every slide was just bleh, bleh.
Yeah.
And so I like to have a different background every time for my videos. I think for a podcast, you should have the same. But if I'm making just videos to stick on YouTube, I want each one to look different, because then when they're scrolling down, they go, oh, what's that? Or what's he doing now?
Yeah.
And so that's what I want to do. But I know that goes against the conventional wisdom a bit.
Well, I don't know, because
but at least it's always me. There's a consistency because it's me doing it.
I think that's the key now. I think marketing is changing, and brand has been incredibly important to this point. But I actually think humans are the most important thing now. And actually, therefore, if the way the video is set up, if the way the studio is set up, if that's consistent, fine, or your brand's consistent, like you can do it lots of different ways. At the end of the day, you're still going to be there. You're going to still be front and center. You're going to be talking about the things that people know and trust you for, that they can learn about from you.
So I'm consistent in that I'm me and my values or whatever they are.
Exactly. I don't think, look, you can always record in the same place. You can always record somewhere different. You can always have the same look and feel. But I think that's becoming less important. What is more
I
important
agree.
is that you show up as you,
Yeah.
open, honest, authentic. You're not a robot. Because
Yes.
everything's now made by AI and technology. What can we trust? In my opinion, the only things we can now trust, really, and even these videos are going to be edited and you know, created by AI to a certain extent, but is the human face talking to camera. Like everything that's written potentially is fake.
Some people are going, it's terrible. But I'm just thinking, maybe it's terrible, maybe it's not. But you can't fight it.
Yeah, it's here.
So you might as well embrace it and think, how can I use it?
Yeah.
And, you know, I've every time I look at AI, I think it's brilliant. And it amazes me how good it is. But I keep forgetting to use it. And then I sort of spend ages doing something. And my son goes, well, why don't you use AI for that? And oh, yeah. And I think probably I could use AI for lots of business type applications I haven't thought of yet.
Yeah.
I probably should pay somebody to just have a look at me and
AI
my
agent.
world and AI me.
Yeah.
And the AI agents, that's definitely going to be a job, isn't it, if it isn't already?
Yeah. Agentic AI is here already.
But I
It's
think
happening.
absolutely embrace it, because whether or not it's good or bad, you can't fight it. And I think, you know, that's the same with all technology. I remember when iPhones came up and some of my friends were going, I don't want one of those because it'll be in my pocket the whole time and the whole world will be ringing me. And I was thinking, well, you can switch it off.
Yeah.
But even if it is going to invade your life, it's coming. You might as well be the first rather than the last. And you might as well just get in there and do it. So I do think, although actually I'm just going to contradict myself now and say that you can make training courses using AI and you can use them to write the script, and then you can have like a very attractive young person presenting it instead of me. And I could do that, but I'm still making my courses old school, where I write the script, I present it, because I still think that I'm 10% better than AI. I think it's up to 90% of me now.
Well, it will learn the more that you put out into the world, the more the AI, you know, all the various different AI tools will find your content.
It's getting better.
And it will then use that content to inform their content.
Yeah.
It's going to happen. It's going to get more. But at the moment,
There's
you
just
know,
something slightly bland about it, slightly predictable. It doesn't quite have that little edge of the example you might use or the story you might tell.
Yeah.
But it's nearly there. When it becomes 110% of me, then I'll use it.
Yeah.
But at the moment, I don't think it's 90. I think it's about 60,
Yes,
60%.
I'm with you.
Because I can spot AI courses.
Yeah.
There's a few on Udemy that shouldn't be there. And I think, you know.
Doesn't feel, again, back to that authenticity
Yeah.
piece, which I guess is where we started.
Yeah.
Is, you know, you can tell it's not real and therefore we lose trust with it. And I think in a world of AI, technology, robots, we want to connect with real people.
Yeah.
We want things to feel authentic. We want people to get things wrong. We want people to say things that are a bit rude because then we actually have more trust with them.
Yeah, you know they're
because-
real.
Yeah, we know they're real.
Yeah, and it's interesting when AI is doing almost everything, which it will soon, personal contact will be the last thing that we've got that is really, you know, building up rapport and influencing and stuff is going to be the one thing it won't be able to do. So I do use it. If I'm making a course, I do ask AI, come up with some creativity techniques, let's say. And there might be, if I'm making a course on creativity, and it might have one idea that I hadn't thought of, or it might spark off an idea, which I'll use, but it's just a tool on the side. But then I'll decide on the structure and the examples, and I'll write it and I'll present it. And so that's where it's at for me at the moment. But it's going to increasingly be doing everything. It's going to be phoning people up, doing cold calling, and it's going to be when you book a table at a restaurant already now, you quite often get an AI agent you're talking to. You don't even realise what time would you like to come, how many of you are there, got any allergies. That's all done. It's an AI voice, isn't it?
Yeah.
But I still think that important sales meeting or whatever, it's going to hinge on that personal bit. And at work, leadership is still going to be key. So I think, you know, influencing and building relationships, it's going to be, and I think maybe creativity.
Yes.
Is going to be the last bit that we hang on to, because have you? I don't know whether you've experimented with AI music at all.
No, my friend has actually.
Yeah.
She's like, because you can get it to actually write songs for you and then sing the song back
Yes,
to you.
I asked it to
So she
make
made a song about me, which was lovely.
And and you can put in lots of nice things and little jokes, and
It
it'll
was
do
quite
it.
funny, yeah.
Yeah. I've been using something called Suno, Suno.
Yes.
And it's free, and you just say, I want a dance song about curry, let's say, eating curry.
Yeah.
That's one I did. And it does it, and it's really good.
It's
But-
fun, yeah.
But you have to have the idea of it's got to be about curry.
Yes.
And, you could say, I want you to write a symphony. It's got to be 20 minutes or 3 movements or whatever it is.
Yeah.
But you've got to have the idea of a symphony.
Yeah, I might get it to write one for my daughter's 18th birthday. I could do a whole song about her.
And you
She'd
can
be
go
so
in,
impressed.
And it writes the lyrics, but you can then go in and edit the lyrics.
Yeah.
But the thing is, though, it's good, but it's never going to be Bob Dylan or Bruce Springsteen or whatever. So it'll be 60, 70%. It'll be elevator music, no problem, and fun things for your daughter. But it's never going to be really great. So I think with whatever job people are doing, whether they're a lawyer or a trainer or marketing or whatever, if you can be in the top, let's say 30%, you're better than AI at the moment anyway.
Yes.
And I think it will never be Bob Dylan, because where can it get the ideas from? And it can only be an average of all the songs that have ever been written.
Yes.
And Bob Dylan manages, if you like him or whoever you like, he somehow is a level above all the songs that were written up to that point. And AI can't go above where we're at. I don't think.
No, because
it
hasn't learned how to go above.
No, because where can it learn from?
Yeah.
And that's the weird thing about creativity. Like, where does it come from? And, that marketing campaign that's just got that little element of genius that, you just think, how did they think of that?
Yeah.
But they did. And that's the thing. AI will do the pictures and make the video and all that, but you're still going to need. So I think creativity and then interpersonal skills.
People powered.
That's
You've really given me a fantastic ending for the podcast, Chris, because that's what we're all about. People powered marketing.
Yeah, that's what you have
But
to
it's
be.
true. I think that's not going to change, unfortunately or fortunately, for the people that sit behind AI. AI has its role. It's not going to. I don't believe it's never going to replace human creativity, because it can't have the ideas that we have. It can help you with parts of the journey, but it can't have the creative element that we have as people.
Yeah, I mean, I keep playing with it. So, for example, I've just made a course on creativity. I put it on Udemy.
Nice.
Available for a discount price
yes,
for
we'll
viewers
go
of
check
this
that
podcast
out. Yes.
or whatever. But, one of the creativity techniques, so I just go through a whole load of creativity techniques in this course, right? And one of them is to think of 20 ideas. So, and you'll think of the first 5 quite easily, and 10. By the time you get to number 15, you're really struggling. But quite often, the sort of 18th one is actually really good. And so I said, I'm going to do it just to show you it, So I did. I came out with 20 ideas that cars could be different. They could have 5 wheels. They could be very thin, so you could park them or something. You could be able to change the color. I don't know. And I came up with 20 ways that cars could be different. They could be, completely sick-proof inside, so that if you've got little kids or drunk friends, you could hose them down. I don't know, just crazy ideas of what cars could be like, modular, so you could stick an extra bit on the back and make it bigger if you need to, or have a small, And I just came up with 20 ideas. It was really hard to do, and I was scraping the barrel by the time I got to 20. And then I asked AI, come up with 20 ways cars could be better, and I just saw what it did. And about nearly half of its ideas, about 10 of its ideas, were the same as the ones I'd come up with. It had cars that could change colour, and it had, an incredibly comfortable car where you have like great big armchairs, and it's lovely and comfortable. And it came up with that, I think.
Yeah, smart.
And it came up with actually 20 really good ideas, and some of them I hadn't thought of and were really good. And so I guess it wasn't creative. I guess it got those ideas from the internet somewhere, somehow. But none of them were cars that have been made. It didn't sort of just look at all the cars from history. It came up with some really quite wacky ideas. There was one that read the mood of the driver and changed its driving style to be more aggressive or more laid back, or depending on how the driver was feeling, for example. And so it did have some sort of creativity. Yeah. But I still think there's going to be some bits of creativity it can't do.
Well, it's creativity based on data and data alone.
And I asked the question initially of think of some car designs, and then I would have to sift through and decide which one's going to work. If I was Mr. General Motors or whatever, or BMW, I'd be thinking, let's do that one. So I'd have to still do the choosing. I mean, you could ask AI for the pros and cons of each design as well, can't you? I mean, it is brilliant, but it's still a tool. Yeah. And we still have to be the ultimate creative engine, I think.
I agree. because it can't have the idea. It can have ideas, but it can only have ideas based on data, whereas we can have ideas, I don't know, based on our, which I guess also our brains are like little data houses, aren't they? But we can have ideas a little more creatively. And
I don't know where our ideas come from. I mean, when you write a song, you're probably basing it on all the songs you've ever heard in the past.
Yeah, so it's data in a different way.
But on the other hand, there have been people who've, I don't know, Jimi Hendrix or somebody who came out with music that had never been played before.
Yeah.
And suddenly, boof, there it was. And where did he get his from? And so I do think what we do is, it's almost like genetic mutations.
Yeah.
We've got everything we've ever seen, but then we change it slightly as well. We sort of break it almost and make it different. And you'll probably find that Jimi Hendrix played it differently because he was left-handed and his guitar was upside down, or maybe he was just, on drugs that day and played something weirdly by accident and thought, oh, I like that. And so wherever it comes from, I do think we can create things that have never been done before. And I'm not sure AI can do that. I can't imagine how it can do that. So, yeah, I think creativity is really important. And I think that's what managers are for. At risk of opening up a great big new thing at the end of the podcast, I do think the job of a manager is to improve things. Because if you keep everything the same, you don't need a manager. I mean, I suppose they've got to make sure people don't skive off home, but that's about it. But a good manager, their job is to say, why don't we expand into America, or why don't we combine those two areas into one, or why don't we, their job is to give people pain by initiating projects. That's what I say manager's job is. And everybody goes, oh God, they want us to expand into America now. Oh God, we've got to make a podcast or whatever it is. And where that improvement idea, that's creativity. So I think managers' jobs, the job of a manager or of a leader is to be creative, to come up with a vision of where we're going to go and then take people there. So it's creativity plus motivation, isn't it? So creativity is right in there. And if you're not doing something new as a manager, then you're not really doing a very good job. It's if it's routine, it's a waste of you.
Yeah, it's odd though, isn't it? Because I often feel bad. I'm always coming up with new ideas, thinking about poor Dom in the background.
Yeah, giving people pain.
And I feel
That's
bad
your job.
because I'm like, oh gosh, no, now I want to do this. And now, but that is, otherwise your business stays stagnant. So I do think, my lesson from you today, amongst very many others.
Be a troublemaker.
Yeah, is continue having good ideas or maybe not always good, but continue pushing those new ideas out to the world. And I think that's.
And you've got to stay ahead of the competition, but you've also got to keep it interesting. I mean, wouldn't life be boring if it was the same every day?
Yeah, it would.
So there's loads of reasons why you've got to keep pushing change on and embracing tools that come along like AI, because they're just things you can use.
Constantly
Even
changing.
Podcasts have come along and we're embracing that, thinking, well, we could use that.
And we are.
Yeah,
Here we are.
Yeah.
Chris, thank you so much. You've been a fantastic guest. Do you know what? This happens all the time. We haven't covered anything in the brief, but we didn't need to because this is much better.
I can't believe we've run out of time already.
It's much better, much more authentic, much more real. We've covered so many interesting things, and I know I've already got loads of ideas for the little clips that we're going to make for YouTube and for LinkedIn. So a big thank you for joining. Just so all my guests know, we'll obviously make sure I put everything in the show notes. Where can they find you? How can they find you online?
If I could plug two things. One is follow me on LinkedIn.
Yes, easy.
You can't connect. I've run out of connections.
I know, because you can't have more than 30,000.
And they don't tell you till you get to 29 and a half.
Yeah.
And unconnecting is really hard work. You have to do it one at a time with all these people.
Yeah.
So I would have been more choosy if I'd known.
Yes.
But anyway, sorry.
Go follow Chris
So follow me on LinkedIn because I post every day, interesting stuff every day. And then the other thing is I have got my own podcast, which you can listen to as well as this one.
Yes.
Called Happy-ish.
Oh.
So it's about how to be happier. Happy-ish.
Happy-ish. Nice.
It's a bit of an odd name.
I like it.
So we've just done our first 5 episodes, but by the time people listen to this, it'll be 6 or 7, and I've got 50 already planned in my head.
Amazing.
So Happy-ish podcast. Follow me on that, and it's done with my wife.
Oh, I love that.
So you'll be able to have a look at her, the poor, long-suffering, better half of me.
Aww.
And it's quite interesting to see how we interact. And
I love that.
Somebody said we should argue more.
Yeah.
So maybe I'm going to have a big argument on the next one with her. We'll see.
I like it. Chris,
so Happy-ish. But LinkedIn's probably
LinkedIn's the main one. Yeah. And YouTube, just so we have it.
Yeah, you just look for Chris Croft on YouTube. There I am. And but I'll be probably plugging that on LinkedIn. And I've got a website.
There you go.
And obviously on Udemy. If you want training courses on anything, just go to Udemy, udemy.com, put in Chris Croft. I've got a load of courses on there that are very cheap and very good.
There we go. I'm going to be sharing that with all my team after this.
Yes.
Fab. Thank you so much for joining, Chris.
Thank you. It's been a pleasure.